know you've known about this for a long time, but today it becomes official. It's out there. You tell your staff, you do interviews. The world now knows.
Right.
So how does that change things? What's that been like?
It doesn't really change a lot. I feel like it does put a little bit of a comma or a period and sort of introduces the next transition phase. And I think that's a good thing. Gives our presidents plenty of time to run an effective search. Korn Ferry will lead that search. And I can be as effective and as flexible as necessary to help them move on to the next phase of Big Ten leadership. So there's plenty of time to do that. I want to stay in the moment on accomplishing the things that are in front of us. But we have a great staff here. There are a few issues, a bowl lineup for 2020 to 2026 that is within our grasp, and we'll probably be able to announce in the next several months. We'll start down the road a little bit of identifying basketball sites for the conference tournament post-2022. I've got some responsibilities with NCAA Council, CFP, Basketball Competition Committee, which I chair, which I'll do. But I think longer-term projects will obviously be put off to the side. I love projects and love implementing longer-term thoughts. But I think that's over with. And I think it's just a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of cleaning up, and a little bit of flexibility in the transition process would be probably the best way for me to help.
Why now? I mean, you're at the top of your game still. There's a survey a few years ago. You're voted the most powerful person in college sports. I spent enough time around you to know you're still.
Yep.
You enjoy this.
Yep.
You still get a rush out of it. Why did you decide?
Well, I think that I've looked at this decision a couple times in the last 10 years, and there was always something sort of on the horizon, whether it was a television negotiation, whether it was expansion, whether it's implementing the new agreements, whether it's working with my colleagues on college football playoff. And I delayed it after 15, after 18, and then moved to 20. And I just feel like most of the challenges we have are longer term. They're not subject to management in a 2 or 3 year window. I feel like I've had my shot, an opportunity to lead and to influence. And I think it'll be healthy for the Big Ten, healthy for the Big Ten Conference to identify its next leader for the next longer term. And I say I'm feeling great, got my health, and appreciative and thankful for the opportunity to lead here over the last period of time.
It's been a long period of time. I mean, we're talking about 30 plus years here.
Yep.
What are you proudest of?
A lot of people ask that question, especially today. It wouldn't be any one accomplishment as much as it would be the creation of an environment among our staff to support our universities. We've had a great professional staff here supporting me in areas where I'm weak and allowing me to do things that I think I can contribute on. And then the relationship among and between institutions that often compete on the field and collaborate off of it in implementing or sustaining any particular decision, whether it's a Big Ten network or whether it's expansion or whether it's a particular media strategy. And so I think the thing I'm proudest of, different periods present different challenges, but just really the creation of a culture of cooperation and respect within the conference. And I think that we'll be facing other issues over the next short term, midterm, long term. And I think we're in a good place with personnel at our campus level as well as on our conference level to address those things as they occur. So it's not a particular outcome, but it's a way of thinking about problems.
What are some of those things you're alluding to?
I think there's a lot of litigation out there, whether it's name, image, and likeness, whether it's pay for play, whether it's concussion, which could change our environment. These are existential challenges. They're not going to be resolved in the short term. But regardless of what the outcomes are, I think that we're fully capable of understanding our history, understanding our principles, understanding the flexibility we may or may not have, and then responding appropriately.
How hard is it going to be to step away? I mean, because not only have you been involved here for so long, but you're someone who takes such a great interest in every little detail. You're there. and present, not just physically, but intellectually, and everything that goes on in this league. What's it going to be like to
I
step
think
back?
I'll find a place to put those things to good use. I'm not exactly sure what I'll be doing, but I can assure you I'll be active in hopefully I'll have my health. I think there are ways and places, whether it's in the for-profit or not-for-profit world, whether it's teaching or consulting or speaking or helping in any particular in a community at any particular time. So I expect that friends will stay important, colleagues and partners will be part of that, and I'll try to get out of the way here and help them have a very light footprint as they make the transition happen for themselves, but also to be around once that person is seated should they need a viewpoint or an input, but it'll be at their request. I'll be away. Well, I'm not saying exactly where we're going, but we won't be in Chicago.
What role are you going to play in choosing that person?
Very little. I mean, what I've tried to do is I think it's the best practice for anyone, any company, profit or not-for-profit going through transition, is to leave people with a good staff, leave people with resources, leave people with the identification of the issues, and then get out of the way to allow those that have the corporate responsibility to identify the next leader to do that, to be available to that person should they have a question, a comment, or concern, but really to be very much a very light footprint in the whole process.
What do you envision doing in this final year?
I think it's really to be as good a commissioner in transition as I can be, and really not trying to etch out sort of much beyond what is on our plate right now.
When you think back over 30 years, there's so much that has happened, but what are the memories that will stick with you the most?
Yeah, I noted someone asked me that question earlier today. I mean, I think Northwestern going to the Rose Bowl was a huge and signaled, I think, sort of the importance of academics and athletics. A lot of people 6 years before were asking whether or not Northwestern should be in the Big Ten. And then to see them go to the Rose Bowl and win 2 championships in the later 90s, I think was an indication that the world was really coming back into a more balanced place. I think the expansion with Penn State and Nebraska, Rutgers, and Maryland, I know not everybody is aligned on that, but I think that has positioned us in the 21st century to compete in what is essentially a new environment, a new competitive environment where footprints matter, where demographics matter, where media matters. If it's hard to believe that 30 years ago, we would have 66 home football games and 50 of them would be on telecast. Everybody's got a role to play. The conference office has got a lot of responsibilities to lead, but really our universities make these decisions, and it's a job of the commissioner and the conference office staff to bring options, develop them, to help people think through them, and then to bring people together around one outcome or another. And I think we're well positioned on that. And we need to be well positioned on that because I don't think the challenges get any easier. In particular, the last 10 years have been sort of dramatically changed with the news cycle cut in half and maybe cut to 25%. And the transparency is important. The ability to communicate is important. And the choices that you have are not always simple ones. So, you have to be able to assess risk and upside. And I think we've developed a method of doing that. I'm not saying we're right on every issue, but I think that what we do is usually pretty well thought out.
Well, we'll look forward to watching you go through this final year and spending a little bit of time, certainly, celebrating, I guess, for lack of a better term, with you. But thank you so much for this time today. Congratulations on this decision.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you do for us and sort of what BTN does for all of our institutions.
Well, likewise. We appreciate what you've done for us. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.